Hello. How are you today? I was going to read from Leading the Way again. I really like that by Michael A. Youssef, PhD. Read Jude 1, 5 to 7. Jude provides us three examples that serve as warnings against indifference to the false teachers in our midst. First, Jude reminds his readers that the Lord at one time delivered his people out of Egypt, but later destroyed those who did not believe. God has promised his people victory over their enemies. Even so, 10 of the 12 Israelite spies sent into the land reported that the natives were too strong. Instead of trusting God in the God who brought them out of slavery in Egypt, the people doubted him. As a result, they wandered the desert for another 38 years. This is why we must not be silent when the church is departing from God's word. Now, apathy can rob us of experiencing God's best for us, his power for victory, when we allow ourselves to be swept away from truth. Next, Jude warns us with the example of the angels who did not keep their positions of authority but abandoned their proper dwelling. When Satan was thrown out of heaven, he managed to deceive one-third of the angels. Similarly, many a Christian leader has wandered from the faith due to their apathy. I just wanted to address that. I don't think the devil was thrown out of heaven. I think he always existed. I think Jesus never said that he was thrown out of heaven. Jesus said that he was a liar and a thief from the beginning, and his ways are death and destruction. And we see that when we encounter Job. At no point was the devil good. That's a lie and a false doctrine, and it needs to be countered. Anyways, similarly, many a Christian leader has wandered from their faith due to their apathy. Now, I do agree with that. There have been a lot of Christians that have left their faith, and uh, you know, uh, finally, Jude notes the people of Sodom and Gomorrah who gave themselves up to sexual immorality and perversion. Abraham's nephew, Lot, looked toward Sodom. Lot's apathy brought him closer and closer to Sodom until eventually he became a resident. Even though Lot was distressed by the sinfulness that surrounded him, he did nothing about it. When the city was judged, with fire from heaven, Lot lost everything, including his wife. His spiritual apathy cost him his place of privilege. But that's a contradiction to Peter, who called Lot righteous. Anyways, I really like what Yusuf has to say, but not everything is, you know, I don't agree with everything he has to say. You know, uh, I don't I don't listen when they diss on characters from the Bible that were righteous or good or because uh, that any flaws they had is between them and God. That's how I feel. And if God didn't call it a flaw, it must not be a flaw. Like take Abraham having relations with Hagar, for example, is that God never said not to do that. And in fact, God blessed Ishmael, so as well as Isaac. So we must not cast stones where Jesus has not cast stones. But we must, like Dr. Yusuf said, be aware of false teachers. See how that's a part of being aware of false teachers is reminding the scriptures and paying attention to the detail where, you know, if God says something is a sin, it's a sin. But if God calls someone righteous, they're righteous. Even if they don't measure up to our standard, they measured up to God's somehow. And I don't know how they did it, but they did it. The Bible doesn't really say. It just gives the statement that Lot was faithful to God. And so that's all that matters. Uh, let's see. Let's go to Discord and see what's up. In Kazakhstan, using Isaiah 41:10 as a guide. Pray that Kazakh Christians will be strengthened to serve the Lord without fear. And there we see a giant mosque. You know, that's pretty big, and it's in Kazakhstan. Uh, this video was really interesting. I got to show it to you.
Jason, I don't know if you saw this, but I don't even know if this is true. But apparently there were some people from the government with inside knowledge that have asked a group of pastors to meet.
Pay attention to what he says, because he points out that, the focal point of the government is to ridicule the Christians, basically, and tell them that Jesus was discovered by aliens. But pay attention to what he says next.
Somewhere in the country, Tennessee. And they met to get briefed on, I don't know, lizard people. I don't know exactly what. Do you have this story? Have you looked into this?
Yeah, a little bit. So this started going around yesterday, and at first I dismissed it. I eventually started seeing it getting pushed all over the place. But apparently there was a, quote, large group of pastors. I looked a few of them up. Some of them are well-known evangelists that supposedly met at an Airbnb in the mountains of Tennessee where a
Okay, hang on just a second.
Here it comes, okay? Glenn Beck is gonna totally rip this apart. It's funny. It made me laugh this morning, and I don't laugh very often these days.
Hang on. Send me a list of the pastors, because I probably know some of them, and I will call them.
Okay.
And find out. Okay, but go ahead. They met at an Airbnb.
Right. One of these pastors' name is Perry Stone. So he put a video out on X yesterday, or on YouTube. And I'll just read you a quote that kind of summarizes it. He said, quote, "I'm not going into great detail, but there were a large number of pastors that had been invited to go to a certain state to hear some men in the U.S. government and others share with them a concern that they had. The concern revolved around, quote, some of it has to do with crafts that have been discovered that are not allegedly part of our planet, and materials that are made are not part of our planet. Very strange reptilian-looking creatures and other things that almost sound like something of a sci-fi movie or H.G. Wells' book." And it sounds like they're gathering the pastors together to get a unified message so that when disclosures happen, that there's not, I don't know what, there's not, I know this has been discussed in UFO circles before, that there will be civil unrest amongst religious people, and how to control that has always been a question.
Wait. Among religion?
Okay, so this is where he really rips it apart. It's
just people. Don't you think if we found out that there are lizard people here, we would all be a little upset? Why is it just the religious people that are going to be like, I'm not going to stand for the lizard people in the shopping center? I mean, what?
Well, this is when you get this like specific claims, and I've actually talked about a documentary. The documentary is called Mirage Men. And I bring that up because at the very end of the documentary, they talk about one of the big specific claims that religious people might have a problem with, which understandably so. But one of the claims, or part of the disclosures, has always been rumored that the human race has been manufactured by extraterrestrials. That's one of the multitude of, and that's what they thought.
So wait. The people who claim to believe in Jesus Christ are going to go, well, now wait a minute. The lizard people say they came up with all of that, and we're going to believe that?
Sounds like a psyop invented by atheists. What is going on in Tennessee?
I mean, as a Christian, the first thing that I would say is if a lizard person was like, you know what, we came here long ago and we just made up this Jesus thing, first thing that would come behind me or come to mind would be, get behind me, Satan. I mean, that does not sound like something I go, no, well, wait a minute. That makes me question Jesus. It makes me question the lizard people.
So, well, Ricky, it's interesting. Ricky,
I just wanted you to see that one part where he says, get thee behind me, Satan. it's pretty good. He really rips. With that he really ripped it apart. I felt like. I uh I need to tone down my rhetoric because my dad tells me that the Muslims are constitutional, but the thing is if the Muslims are constitutional, what about slavery? See how if you get the Muslims in, you end up with slavery, one way or the other. So, anyways, I just wanted to share that one little brief part and, with you, and I hope it uploads on to YouTube. God bless you, and thank you for watching.